The first question I have, are you Tommy or are you Dr. Emmanuel due to your honorary doctorate? I don't want to disrespect you.
Well, um, I would never dream of being called Dr. Emmanuel, um, but it was a beautiful honor for me to be given that honorary doctorate, Doctor of Music. Um,
Sure.
but I that's the third one I've been given. So I'm the other two were one was from a college here in America, and the
Hmm.
other one was from another university in Sydney. And they were all as equally as important to me. Um, but it was nice to be recognized especially by the university close to where I was born in Australia. So the city of Newcastle and the university were the ones who gave me the honorary doctorate. I was born in a little town called Muswellbrook, and
Hmm.
my father, at that time in the 50s, I was born in 55, and my father was working in a coal mine. That's how he was making a living in those days. And I think that's the reason why, when I was old enough to listen to Merle Travis and hear his songs about the coal miners, I think it struck a chord with me.
Sure. So, away from your educational accomplishments, is your latest album the Live at the Sydney Opera House?
Yeah. Well, I have a new album coming, which is all done, and we're just sort of finishing up all the artwork and stuff. A new album of mostly original songs written by me.
Hmm.
Um, so that's coming a little later. The album that's out at the moment is the Live at the Sydney Opera House. It's a double album, and we recorded two shows there. I did a 3 o'clock and an 8 o'clock show.
Hmm.
Uh, in Sydney that day, and the sound was amazing. Of course,
Right.
the venue is great, and we captured two shows. We recorded and filmed both shows, and uh, when I came to mixing and mastering the album, I used a good 80% of the first show because it
Mm.
was like it was on a roller coaster. It was going. And the second show, there were some other parts that were actually a little bit better in the second show. So I pieced it together from both shows.
So that is, of course, one of the most legendary venues in the world, Sydney Opera House. Then we were connected because you have a show in a couple of months at Carnegie Hall. I know
Yeah.
that you played there with Les Paul a bunch of years ago as part of a tribute show. You've done Royal Albert Hall. Is there any venue left that's still on your bucket list?
Uh, well, I've never played in India. I've never played in South Africa.
Hmm.
There are still a lot of places that I haven't yet got to. This year alone, I've already done Canada, um, um, uh, Australia, New Zealand, Hawaii,
Hmm.
America, and now during the course of this year, I'll be playing in Taiwan, China, Japan, uh, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia. So I'm still getting round the planet, and
Yeah.
uh, and I just hope and pray that things don't get too crazy out there in the world, and it becomes dangerous for me to travel. That would be my greatest disappointment. But you know, you can't predict what's going to happen in the world and how people see
Right.
things and what they're going through. So, you know, I basically I work to give people a happy time, a good time, and
Right.
and and take them away from their ordinary life to another dimension kind of thing. That's the magic of music and entertainment. And so I love that job, and I love playing for people. So
Yeah,
Uh,
you've only been doing it professionally since you were like 6 years old, just
I've
a
been
few
a coach for
years.
6 years, so I've been professional for 64 years.
So something I'm curious about is some bands when they do a world tour, some artists go, "This is our set for the world tour. This is what we play every night."
Yeah.
But the hits were not the hits everywhere, or the albums didn't come out of major labels elsewhere. So taking, Van Halen, for example, and I loved the tribute that you gave to Eddie around the time of his passing. I thought that was very tasteful and all that. But Van Halen was not big everywhere in the world, and they were kind of a one-hit wonder in some of the world, weirdly, because of Jump, and that was that.
Wow.
But when Van Halen played live anywhere, it was kind of like, these are our songs. That's what you're going to get. When you're playing in Taiwan, is it the same set that,
No, I well, put it this way. I don't like, I play jazz festivals, blues festivals, bluegrass
right?
festivals, country music, CMA things. I play on, part of a classical festival and stuff. And I don't tailor my music to suit a certain genre. You know what I mean? I play what I feel on the night, and of course I have a repertoire that I've built these
Yeah.
last 60 years. So I don't I don't like struggle with different styles and stuff. I just play what I feel the audience are going to like, And there's a really great photo I saw. Somebody put this photo up, and it was an all it was at a show in San Francisco called Hardly Strictly Bluegrass,
Bluegrass. Yeah, yeah.
and that's me. I dabble in bluegrass, and I love it. But and so there's a photo of me on stage, and you can
Hmm.
see hardly bluegrass in the background. I said, that's it. Because I
That
started
makes
the
sense.
show with a guitar boogie, a
Yeah.
boogie woogie piano style song, and the audience loved it, and it was the right choice to start with. Sometimes if I'm on the bill with other artists, I watch the artists who are on before me and see how much they hammer the audience, or
Hmm.
what they do to the audience, and that lets me know the best way for me to start. So I remember when COVID was finally over, and we were able to allow a room to be full of people again.
Hmm.
First show back here in Nashville was at a place called Third and Lindsley, and
Yeah.
my friends Rob Ikes and Trey Hensley, they're so brilliant, and they opened the show, and they just hosed the hell out of everyone. They were brilliant, and the last song was a Grateful Dead song called "I'm a Friend of the Devil," and Trey took this long solo where he's playing acoustic, and he's doing wah wah, he's tapping, he's banging away, and I mean it was just like he threw everything at it. And a friend of mine who was sitting with me said, "How the hell are you going to follow this like that?" And I said, "You watch." And so what I did is I started with a real slow blues song, because the audience had heard everything, that they could possibly imagine, and those guys threw their themselves out there, and it was brilliant. But you got to know when to just back off and give the audience a chance to catch their breath again. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
think at restaurants they call that an amuse bouche when they're trying to clear the palate between things. So that's very interesting. And sorry to interrupt you, Tommy, but it's interesting that you didn't go, I have to light my guitar on fire to top this.
yeah,
You just
yeah,
kind of knew to bring
yeah,
it down and then
yeah.
dynamics, you'll bring
Yeah.
it back up.
Yeah, it's not about proving I'm better than anyone else. It's
Sure.
about doing my job properly and being sensitive to people. And I think it's an important part of what we do.
Yeah. So this show coming up that you're doing with Richard at
Yes.
Carnegie Hall,
Mm.
is it the kind of thing where you will make the whole set list, or is it the kind of thing where you know how you're going to start, know how you're going to end, and call it from the stage?
Uh, no, here's what's going to happen. We're both going to play about an hour each,
Hmm.
and then we're going to play a few songs together. So
Great.
basically, what we need to do is to get together before the date and work out what we want to play together. Because the exciting thing for me is Richard and I have never played together. So, and we only met once on a cruise, and it was just very brief, and I got a great vibe from him. So, I'm looking forward to getting together before the date and working out some songs we can do. Uh, hear his suggestions, and see if I can come up with a few of my own. And because we're such different styles, this is good because
Yeah.
it'll bring something that the audience won't be able to see anywhere else but on that night. And then that's what's so cool about doing stuff like that.
Any chance you might record that gig for a future live release?
Probably I don't know about that. If I was going to record a live recording with Richard, I would do it on where we tour together and we really get our stuff together, you know. So, but I mean, recording stuff now is pretty easy. My sound man, Steve, he
Hmm.
can he can record me every night if he wants. He's got all the digital stuff back there, and he can record me.
So, is there a lot in the archives from you or unreleased material from over the years?
Oh yeah, there's an awful lot. So, but I I never have that thought that, oh gee, maybe I should release this and release that. Uh, I'm always on. If I can say this, I'm always on to the next thing. That's the kind
Mm,
of person I am. I'm talking with you now, but I'm already moving on to the next thing. You know what I'm saying? It's,
totally no, and not offended at all. So, I've got two more questions for you,
oh,
and then
no,
I'm going to let you go. You ready?
no, no, you don't have to let me go. I was trying to make a point of I don't sit around looking and listening to what I've done. I
Of
I keep
course.
moving forward, trying to invent new things.
Of
That's what I'm really saying.
Oh, of course. And in my case, when they go, how long do you want to interview this person for? And I'll go 20-ish, and they'll go, you can have 40. And I'll go 20-ish. You don't want to overstay your welcome with anyone. You don't want to be what my friend JT calls a punisher, the person that tells the stories that goes on for too long. So,
Yeah.
my first question, all we really know about you is your guitar prowess, your career, the Chet Atkins stuff, etc. But what's your main hobby or interest when you're not busy with touring or recording?
Playing guitar.
So when you're not playing guitar, you're playing guitar.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
My here's a normal day for me. Like uh, today is a pretty normal day, not being on tour. Right. I'm
yeah,
in my little house here in Nashville. There's my kitchen and
nice.
and whatever. And so I got up early, 6 o'clock, and a friend of mine came over and we did like a 3 mile walk, went all around, and we really pushed it on the way back, all kind of as uphill. He's 75 and I'm 70, and we're both keen to keep our health in good shape.
Sure.
And so we did that walk, and then he came in, and I made breakfast, and then I started playing the guitar, and we swapped guitar stories. And if I sit here, I've got my guitar, and
That's right
I've got my
there.
guitar right here. So
Yeah, yeah.
ready to go at all times. And I've been to the supermarket. I got a doctor's appointment in 2 hours just to check on where my ribs were broken and they're healing. And then I'm going to go to the movies tonight. So
Full
it's
day.
yeah, that's a normal day for me. I'm I'm pretty boring. I do pretty by normal people's standard. I do pretty boring, ordinary stuff because I'm just a guy like everybody else.
Better than being a tortured artist who can't face people or do stuff.
Well, I feel sad for people like that, and it's a mindset that especially in the jazz world, you
Yes.
know, the tortured artist, the jazz guy who criticizes anyone who's commercial. What a load of crap, you know. You know, the more the merrier, I say, I want to be, I have to make a living at what I'm doing, but I
True.
also have to be true to myself and true to my art, and and I know that when I play something, um, something happens to people who listen to it and
Hmm.
or who see it, and that's a wonderful thing. It's a positive thing, and so people often say, how is your life? Do you struggle financially? Blah blah blah. And I always say, look, I play for free, but I
Yeah.
get paid. I get paid really well to travel.
To travel and wait around all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's a wonderful answer. My last thing, a point of curiosity for me is
So,
Nashville is population-wise a small city. Like it's a cultural hub, and it's a center that everybody knows about, and now it has direct flights. But small population. But any Australian that I know that moves to the States moves to Nashville. When did you move to Nashville versus all the influx of country artists from Australia?
well, this is country music headquarters here, It's also Music City. I can
Yeah.
tell you that you can see music of every genre, including Iranian, Egyptian, uh,
Yes.
Italian. You can see everything here, you know. You can see ballet, you can see classical music, you can go to a jazz club, you can see punk, uh, you can go
Everything.
see
Yeah.
fusion music,
80s metal. It's all
yeah,
there.
it's
Yeah.
all here. It's all
Yeah.
here. It's Music City. Um, I- I've lived in America 3 times, and so the first time I lived here was in Los Angeles
Hmm.
because I wanted to be where all the hit songwriters were, and I worked with several of them and played on their demos and co-wrote songs with different people. And then I came back again when I got signed by Sony, and
Hmm.
I came back and lived near San Francisco. So because my kind of smooth jazz record was charting, and I had a kind of a hit song with a piece called Midnight Drive, and
Hmm.
this is in '95, and that album came out and it did really well, and I got a lot of play on KKSF and the Wave and all those kind of jazz stations. And so the record company said, we need you here to do promo and to do radio and get you on TV and all. So I moved to San Francisco, and anyway, it wasn't long before the label decided that they didn't know how to market me, so they let me go. And so I had to negotiate with another label, all that stuff, But the reason I moved to Nashville is
Hmm.
because Chet Atkins had said to me a long time ago, "You belong here. This is where you belong." And he said, "And you'll be back." And he was right. And I came
Wow.
here. I found the management I needed. I found the people here to be, the right people to surround myself with. And and now I have a little house outside of town. I very rarely go into town only to do like the Ryman or do a camp do a guitar retreat in town, or
Hmm.
I go and play the Opry. Other than that, um, I don't do a lot in the city itself.
Got it. So but you were there before Keith Urban, and you were there before, in other words, you were the leader of the
No,
Australians invading Nashville Revolution?
no, no. What?
Oh,
Yeah, there were people here before me. Absolutely. You just don't know about them, but I do.
they're under the radar on purpose. But
Yeah,
Tommy,
yeah. Well,
thank you for the
yeah,
decades of great art. Looking forward to the Carnegie Hall gig. Looking forward to the next album. Just thank you for being a true original voice in guitar-based music.
thank you, brother, and thanks for wanting to talk with a gray-haired man. I sure do appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Emmanuel.
The doctor will see you now.
Paltrocast.